Hi, it's April 10th, 2025, and this is Mary Lou. Yes, she's still alive. That might not have been such a good choice of words, but it rhymed, doggone it. And I went to my appointment earlier today and got those injections. I have not seen the size of those needles, but the lady today told me they're pretty big. I mean, I've seen, in fact, they had them cold. You don't want to have your injections cold. You want them warmed up. So, I mean, and I'm glad I asked, because you'd think I'd learn not to ask. But anyway, she said they hadn't been out of the fridge too long. And I'm going, okay, what do we got to do? Because they got to be warm. And I told her what other places had done, because they had brought me warm blankets and stuck them in the warm blankets for a little bit. But then I think I read somewhere where that might make it where it doesn't work. But anyway, I've also heard of them putting them under their arms or in their elbow. So I stuck them under my arms, one under each arm. It warmed them up pretty good. I'm not sure quite how long it took, but it wasn't very long. The lady today that took care of me was very nice. She took me into her. Let's see. The first lady is the one who always does my blood pressure, one I was concerned about. She directed me into a room. So this time, instead of sitting in a chair where there's a whole lot of people, I was in an actual room. And then she took my blood pressure the normal way. It was still high. But I mean, I was stressing over today's visit, so I'm sure that had something to do with it. Because last time I was there, they hurt me, and I was not appreciative of that. I'm a big baby, and especially when you know they don't need to hurt you. So, um, the lady that's the one that did the blood pressure is the one that always does. So, and it was high. It was 160. I don't know if it was 162 or something like that over 84, but still better than 190 on the top. And I still say that stressing over that visit today had something to do with that. Um, so then this other lady comes in and she's going to ask me questions. This is why. And she says, "Oh, I'm going to be your nurse today, and I need to ask you some questions." So she did, and we got all that done. And she's the one that's going to give me my shots. But I explained to her. Anyway, she is really good because I didn't feel it hardly at all. I mean, I did feel it, um, especially on my right side, and see that's where it hurt last time. But I just only felt it a little bit. But it was a little bit more than in the other cheek. But still, it was not much. And she said that's amazing because it is quite a big needle. I'm going, oh my God, I don't know that I want to look at that needle, but I'm still curious. So the thing is, you're supposed to lift your foot up, the ball of your foot, you lift it up backwards so that you're taking pressure off of your buttocks. It's supposed to make it softer. And definitely, I could imagine if your butt was hard, but I don't have a hard butt. I wish, I wished I did have a nice tight everything, but I'm just glad it didn't hurt. So today was a good visit. Today was a good day. Even though my blood pressure was up, I really don't understand the meaning of those numbers, but so between 160 and 162 on the top, and I think it was 84 on the bottom. But I am taking my pills, and they, for some reason, I don't know what it is that they do, but it took the points down. So, what do you think? What do you think it is? Now, I do know that, no, I don't know for a fact, but they say that exercise, walking, even just walking, will take down your blood sugar and take down your blood pressure. So I need to be doing that. I really need to be vigilant. And I also need to get some really good ideas about putting out my cards. The other day when I went in and got my blood work done, I don't think I already told you that. But anyway, when I went and got my blood work done, I asked her, the nurse that took my blood, I said, do you mind, do you guys mind if I put some cards out here? You know, they're like, they're introduction cards because my phone number is not even on it. I probably should have put my phone number on it. But anyway, she said, no, go ahead. So I put three. I mean, I didn't put very many, but I put three out on the one table. And there was only, I think there was really only one table, besides there was a different place where everyone in. See, I can't even talk in full words. Where everybody, or everyone, whichever word, comes in and they check in. There's a, I guess they call it a kiosk or something like that. I don't know what it is. Where you can check in, touch and check in. The way I understood it, it seems like that's what I did last time. I know what happened. I was supposed to be there at 9:50, and I checked in on my mobile phone at 9:52. And I think the only choice it gave me was to cancel. I wasn't canceling, but somehow it must have got canceled. Any old who. I put out three cards there, so that's the important thing. And then I went over to the dollar store. So maybe I did tell you guys this, but I went over to the Dollar Tree for a few minutes. Went through their food type stuff, and I was there long enough to spend $30. But I know that other places are competitive. Okay, it just depends on what you're buying. So you just stick to what you know. But when I'm at the grocery store and there's something that's $3.65 and I know I can get it for $1.25, I just can't do it. You know, sometimes it's a matter of convenience, and some people have more money than they have time. And that would make sense too. You know, you don't run around for all these little things, but there are certain things, and if you shop like I do, or like I used to, I have my store. All I had to do was go into my pantry, and I had what I needed for the most part. Jessica's doing pretty good, and she's got a running total thing. She's got a whiteboard that's magnet to the fridge, so we write on there things in a, I guess it's like a dry erase board or something. So you write on there the things you want to buy at the grocery store next time you go, things you're running out of, etc., etc. But it's always a good idea to have at least two, if not three, of one of the items that you use. I am not an expert in food storage, but I will tell you it is a good idea. You start out with your basics. I really don't know what's the best thing to do, because you can be simple. You can do it like this, and it's probably a really good idea for your family. Figure out what it is that you guys really like, and that you can get, especially if you can get it shelf stable instead of it going bad on you. Like canned goods go bad, And canned goods might not have the best vitamins and stuff in it anyway because they were processed. I really don't know. That's an I don't know. Some will say there's not much there, but at least it's probably better than nothing. I don't know how frozen fruits and vegetables are done, but it seems to me those would be the things to get if you have electricity. But see, the thing is, okay, back to what I was going to say. You pick out 7 meals. 7 meals that you could just have a good old-fashioned big meal once a day if you had to get down to it. Because you got to prepare these things. And when you do not have the amenities of life, it is not so easy to prepare food. So you figure out a way that you can prepare a meal that will service whoever's in the household. When I say service, you know what I mean. Provide food. Yes, we need to worry about nutrition, but that's, in times of real emergency, right away you need something. You aren't going to have to worry about your vitamins and intake because you're just going to want something in you. But you need something that's easy to make, something that's easy to carry maybe. Because you can build yourself, you can build yourself. I'm running out of juice. I hope this doesn't do anything wrong. Well, I got it plugged in, but I don't know. I didn't hear it go off. I think I got it plugged in. Anyway, I guess we'll know if it shuts off. So I was telling you about food storage. So, yeah, I did. I bought a lot of stuff. I left a lot of stuff at my property. Wow. Food storage. Because that's like, it's not something I did overnight. And I did watch for sales, and I did buy from different places, okay? Even Walmart. Walmart has some really killer deals on some number 10 cans of dehydrated food. This was several years ago. I'm not sure how many years ago, but nevertheless, it was crazy. And what it was whatever the stock was, they were fixing to run out of. The sale lasted on that particular lot. It was produced at such and such date. So they were trying to get rid of it because of the date. But when you're talking about dehydrated food, you don't need to worry about that date so much because it's supposed to stay good till you open it, and then it's still going to be good for a while as long as you take care of it. Meaning, when you open that number 10 can, depending on what's on the inside of it, you need to put it in, I would put it in a glass jar. But you need to take and put it into something else besides that number 10 can. I didn't know that. And then you forget about stuff. You forget you even have it. So you don't want to do that either. You need some type of a way to keep track of what you got. But back to the basics. Get yourself 7 meals. I watched a lady who gave classes on food storage, okay, and she did it for the church. She went around talking to these different areas. They'd gather up and have a big old class, and she'd come and give the class. And I can't remember what her name is, because I know that she has videos. She's probably got, I say probably, but she had them, so if she had them, she has them. Just don't know what her name is. I'll have to go do a search on that, because I think we all should, even if you just do the basics, like I just said, figure out 7 meals that are easy to make that everybody will eat. And what I was starting to tell you was those number 10 cans of dehydrated foods. I would also get entrees, is what they would call it. Like you could get spaghetti, or you could get lasagna, or you could get um, stew, or different things. I mean, you can get stuff with real meat in it, or stuff with no meat, or stuff with, I mean, no facsimile of meat, because they do have what they call what? What is that stuff called? You know, tofu is what's coming into my head, but you guys know what I mean. It's a alternative material that's for meat. It's protein anyway. It's vegetable. I just can't think of it right this minute. And I'm sure probably most of you guys know what I'm talking about. You're probably over there saying, this is what it is. That is true. Okay, so I just can't think of it, but it is an alternative and it's a protein source. I'm sure it must be plant-based. Plant-based. I keep losing my voice. Um, 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 um. I need to figure out what I'm going to do with the rest of my life. Am I going to do something spectacular? Am I doing it already? I've got that song playing in my head, what I was just doing. Da 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 da. Dip 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 dip. It must be a song from the 50s. That was my dad and mom's time, not mine. I'm the 60s. I entered high school, or I entered, I believe, the ninth grade. I'm not sure if the ninth grade was high school in Sandy, Utah when I went. So it might have been 10th, 11th, and 12th at the high school, and ninth grade was, all I know is I was there starting in the ninth grade. So I think I entered high school, which would have been the 10th grade. 1969. That patriarchal blessing I had was in 1969, and I was 16. I remember I figured that out before, but I didn't figure it out recently. Anyway, I'm not sure what I had to eat. I made myself my drink, but I haven't been making my smoothie. I bought those super greens, okay? And so you can mix it with water or you can mix it with a beverage, and it's 50 superfoods, and it's got mushrooms in it and greens in it. And anyway, I've already gone through one of the containers and I've started on my second one. So now I've got to order some so I'll have some when that's gone. But I find it's not real bad with milk. And I've got a shaker cup. I bought a 2-pack of shaker cups from Amazon. I think I got a 2-pack for $10. But when we were at the store trying to find them in the actual store, brother, they wanted a crazy amount of money. So nah. I'm glad we have online. Those little towns are all worried about Walmart, and don't they realize that everybody's ordering online anyway? You know, the town I lived in still does not have Walmart. They've tried to be there several times. They're in the middle of nowhere. It's 47 miles to get to Walmart. So what have they got? They got everybody leaving town and doing their shopping anyway, when they could be shopping right there in town and giving the tax base to the town. But oh no, you've got a few little people. I hope you guys are listening. You got a few little people downtown that have a monopoly. They have a monopoly on these shops, these stores. They're on Main Street, Old Town, USA. And then you'll find that a person that owns one owns 2 or 3 of them, okay, on the same street. And then they have to pay extra charges to get things shipped in. But they get mad at you for not shopping with them when their prices are outrageous. So don't they know they're still losing the business? It does not matter. If they let Walmart come to town, there'll be more people with wages. People would have jobs and some money. And you could go and enjoy a day at Walmart. Or, sometimes it's just nice to go shopping. Anyway, it just aggravated me to no end. And it's another one of those stinking thinking things. And all they're thinking about is themselves. And these people that own these shops are part of the town council. So if you don't go and fight it, there you are. So here, I've been gone. I don't even know how many years I've been gone. We sold the propane company in '98. And Mom and Dad went on missions, and then they moved. And then I was still there because I had been buying my house. And I put down some roots pretty deep. When you own a house, you don't want to leave. So your family up and leaves you. But I stayed with my house. So what was the point of all that? I go off on these little trails, and I'm not sure why I did, but I know I had a reason. And I was talking about Walmart. I mean, really. See, they have. I haven't been back since they've done this, but it was a dry county when I was there, meaning you could not have liquor. You could not go to an establishment and have a drink. Okay. Well, it's a very wet county now. That's what I understand. I haven't seen. I'll have to have Maria take some video for me, to see what's going on in town. They were going through a lot of growth last I knew. I mean, there's new banks and there's, I don't know what else, but I know there was a new hotel and a new bank, and then some more apartments were built along a certain road that was just farmland. So I'm not sure what all has happened there. They have a community college there, but they had that when I was there. So 98, I'll just say 2008. No, me and Joe got married in 2006. And it was probably within that year. We got married in October 2006. November, December. So it had to have been 2007, we'll say, that I moved to Downs with Joe. It's hard to remember all those things. They all came together like lightning. Kaboom, kaboom, kaboom. Things were done. And then things were crazy. And things got even crazier. Anyway. Yeah, I said life was an adventure, but it wasn't really the adventure I wanted. It was definitely not what I wanted. So, you guys be careful. Just because doesn't mean you oughta. It really doesn't mean you oughta. Surely you got what I was saying without me saying it. Just because something looks good, and especially at the moment when you've been dry so long, and then boom, and you're just mesmerized, but you're more mesmerized by the outward appearance because you don't know the person. I mean, when you act as fast as I acted, you don't know that person. And I should have. I'm telling you guys, if you find yourself in that situation, my girlfriend offered to do a background check on him, and I did not have her do it. And here's something he said to me. If we don't get married, you won't marry me. So what is that supposed to mean, people? That should have been like a real big red flag. anyway. Yes. I mean, there were reasons, but it's because a person had given up the hope of ever finding your true love. You know, at that point, it's physical beauty and sex. And then when you do it that fast, like I said, you don't know them. A wolf hiding in sheep's clothing. I mean, not that Joe was that, but you could do the correlation. You just cannot judge a book by its cover. You must delve into the inside. Maybe sometimes that's just too much trouble, it's too much work. It was a set of circumstances that threw us right into that. Because I met him online. And then I was just happening to go on a trip. I mean, I met him right before I was going on that trip. And on my way back, so I was leaving my place and going up to my daughter's place. So I was in Perryton, Texas, and I was going to Denver. And then we were taking the kids and going on up to a family reunion and then up to see their father, Dean. And then on the way back, I was going to stop in at a convention type of place to learn some stuff. I don't know if I was going to be at the convention. There was a convention in town that made it where I couldn't stay at a hotel. All the rooms were full. But what it was a training session that was going to be going on in this town, which was where Jessica's dad lived. So on the way back from dropping the kids, I'm sure we had to have dropped the kids off. I'm not positive if we left them with Dean or if he just saw them and we got them back. That's interesting. That was a long time ago. The kids were really little, and now they're in there. I mean, Tyler is 25 and Carly's 30. And they were young then. I'm not even sure who all was alive then. Maybe all the four were. In other words, there's Carly and Tyler, and then there is Madison and Kevin. But I'm not sure who was there. And it had to have been, we got married in 2006, so it had to have been in 2006. So we could kind of figure out the ages, but I don't want to do the math. That's just a long time ago. Oh, what was the point of all that? Oh, I went on that trip, okay, and I was sharing all the different things. So this is in Utah, where Jesse's dad lives. And so in the meantime, I've been on this single site, and most everybody lives a long ways away. And I made appointments with a couple of guys that lived in Utah that I could see while I was there. And then there was another guy that was up in Seattle area, which is where we were going, where we went. So I had made arrangements beforehand to maybe meet up with that guy and then the two different guys in Salt Lake. I think it was two guys. But in the meantime, before I make it out on that trip, Joe shows up. And every time I turned around, every time I got online, there he was, there he was, there he was. So he was very persistent. And then he changed his stats to make us be 100% compatible. I mean, that's the way he is, okay? I'm just saying that's persistent. Go in and find out what it is, that you need to say to make it so that you're 100% compatible. Anyway, if things had not been just so, I probably wouldn't have met him. I mean, I wouldn't have gone and seen him because what happened was on my way back from Jesse's, she's in Denver and I'm going to Perryton, Texas. Well, on my way back, you go past this certain spot and all you got to do is make a left and then go a ways. And there you are, where that guy is. So after we were in contact through the whole trip, and after all that, and I was going to be going right by that close and stuff, and I knew if I went home, I wasn't going to come back and meet him because once I got home, I would be working 6 days a week and not being able to get off to go do anything like that. So there you go. I went and met this guy, spent the weekend with him. It was just really fast, okay? I spent the weekend with him, and then we went up to this store. I mean, this is a little town, less than 1,000 people, okay? Middle of freaking nowhere. And that's how I'm going to describe Downs, Kansas, because that's where he was living when I met him. So we're up at this convenience store where you can get some food or gas or whatever, or fish bait. And I opened up the newspaper that was on the counter. I opened it up to a full-page ad for a house that was going to be on the auction block in 2 weeks' time. And then written across the page, $1,333. I mean, so I had 1333.00, whatever, and it was property taxes. So that's what the property taxes were. So in my mind's eye, I'm thinking about the old days when they were selling houses for property tax, but then they also do it at the highest bidder. And anyway, it was the last house on the edge of town, acres and acres and acres and acres of greenery. My backyard, I had a half acre. It was really nice. I mean, it was an older house, but it was brick. It was large. So, I mean, you could do whatever you wanted to with it. And I made arrangements. I talked to the people who were auctioning it off, and I talked to them about what all da-da-da and what they thought it was going to go for and this and that. They had it kind of rigged. I know they did. Because when they got to the part of what they wanted, they stopped the bidding. I mean, in the bidding, I wasn't bidding, and they were expecting me to be bidding, but I just wasn't expecting it to be that much, although they had already told me what they were thinking it would go for. I wish I would have been smarter. But anyway, so right there in the beginning, there's a couple, 3 people bidding, but I never did. And so then he's looking at me like, why aren't you bidding? And I'm shaking my head. So then he stops the auction and he looks out at everybody and he's saying, I want you guys to go take another look around and really think about this, And so we did and all that stuff, not just me, but everybody went back into the house looking all around and stuff and came back out. And anyway, they started the bidding again. And I made one bid. That was the end. They had it rigged to where I would, like if I was bidding earlier before they took a break, if I was bidding and I had a bid that they could accept anyway, they would have stopped the bidding. But they had some phonies in there. I don't know what the other word would be. Someone in there that's bidding but is not intending on buying. Okay, they're just raising the price. But anyway, I got a good deal. I got a real good deal, but I just wasn't in a situation where I could move to the property. I had a job going on. I had Avon customers. I had a whole big old lot of stuff going on because I was used to being single forever. And I had told my boss way before I met Joe. But when I started, I guess when I started looking at those sites, I told her, because I worked all the time. I worked 6 days a week and I worked 2 shifts a day because it was just me. I was just a single person. So I was doing a lot of working. I told her, I says, if I ever get a life, I won't be working so much. Meaning, if I ever find someone to have a life with, to share things with, then that would be ending. And then I met Joe. And then I decided to get married to Joe. I bought that house, by the way. I mean, how crazy. I just was crazy in the head. But the auction block is the way to get a house. I mean, that's why you do need to stash money. You need to stash money so that when the time comes, if the opportunity comes, you have something to get. Banks are hard to give you money. They'll lead you in saying they're going to give you this percent of interest rate and, and get you all in there and get your papers all filled out and then come to find out, well, you don't qualify for that interest rate. Your credit rating does not qualify for that interest rate. So the interest goes up. Same thing with buying a car. I think it's more true about, I don't know, maybe it's just personal loans, but is there your debt to credit? I don't know what they exactly call it, but you guys know what it is. Ratio. Your credit to debt ratio. Anyway, you got to look at both numbers and see how much extra do you have left a month that you can play with after you pay all your bills. And it's not funny, but it does make it hard for some people to get things, especially houses, because you need stability, you need a job, you need an income coming in saying, yes, I will pay the payment every month. And yes, if I don't make the payment 3 months in a row, you have the right to come and take my house away. I'm not sure exactly how many months it is, but that's about what it used to be. If you were late 3 months in a row, you could lose your house after you paid all that money. So banks, like I said, banks are hard to deal with, and they're tricky. And there's some outfits out there that are a little bit on the tricky side too. There was a time when somebody was trying to give me a loan for my house. They wanted to just give me a loan, right? Which of course they would have ended up giving me a lot less than what the house is worth. And then wait to gobble me up. So in that case, they're not really caring if you can make the payments. In fact, they wish you can't because they can get your house dirt cheap. Can you see that? So like you have a house that's worth, this is just us throwing it out. Say your house is worth $80,000 and you go and you get an equity loan for $40,000 or something like that. You want to do some projects around the house that'll take a certain amount of money, and maybe you want a little extra for a vacation or something like that, right? So you're using the equity that you've got in your house, and then if you can't make the payments, there you are selling your house for half of what it's worth, and you're out in the street. Got it? They bought it with that loan. No, they had approved me. They were going to give me money. I don't know how much money it was or any of that stuff. I just know that I did not feel good about it. I just didn't feel good about it. And when you got a house that's paid for, no, you can't let someone else get their little mitts into it and then have you kicked out on the street. It's just not happening. So, I mean, I got right up to the part where, they wanted to send me some money. And then I just told them I couldn't do it. I'd rather have my house and not live in the street. And see, there was a time I did not live in the street, but I was awful close. I was awful close to being. I had been evicted. And I didn't have anywhere to go, and I didn't ask Mom and Dad, but one of my family members did tell Mom and Dad. It all ended up working out good for both them and for me. And I would have never, ever left Vancouver had I not been forced to. The situation that was going on uprooted me from where I was comfortable. I thought I was doing pretty good there, but I wasn't. I was having trouble with my neighbors and a few other things. But my dad and my mom and my Uncle Dale bought a propane company in Perryton, Texas. And I had already gone through school and was an executive type secretary. I mean, it was secretarial science, but I could do it all pretty much. Not everybody's going to give you a chance when you don't have the experience, or maybe you're not as fast as somebody else. I'm not fast, but I'm good. I mean, seriously, I'm very detail oriented. I catch mistakes. And like when I was typing on this when you're taking typing, you take typing tests and stuff anyway. The idea is I was not very fast, but I was perfect. And in being perfect, I might have made a mistake, but I recognized it immediately and fixed it. So that takes time away from your speed. But the finished product was perfect. I wish I had all those things I could read to you guys. What do they call those? Letters of recommendation. I had a letter of recommendation from a Army captain recruiter. I worked for him. And I did a project for him, which ended up taking my job away. But I can take a rough draft copy. I can take what you got to say and put it into perfect form. Or I used to could. I imagine I still can. I just need to have some more practice. Because it takes a whole lot of different things when you're trying to do all that. Spelling, vocabulary. I know the sentence structure, but it's still been a long time. But to be able to say what you want to say, use the right words. So what's the point of all that? I was my dad's executive secretary. I was his everything. Because in the beginning, I just went in and I worked a few hours a day. And I learned about the business and stuff. And then I was doing some books and answering phones, filling up propane bottles, doing the billing, doing the payments, doing the ordering, doing the collections, doing everything. And then I would take if you'd ever seen my dad's handwriting, you could hardly read it, but I would take his written word and his thoughts and put it into perfection. Serious was. So I made them boys look good. But I did everything except deliver propane. You would have had to have a CDL. And you would have had to have a hazmat thing for driving that truck. But people came in and brought big old oil-filled equipment where I filled up propane, what I call bottles, 250 gallons each, on the back of their oil rig things. What were those things? I don't even know what they were called, but they'd go down the road. On the back, they had two 250-gallon tanks of fuel that were linked together. They wanted you to fill it all the way up, but you can't. I don't think those people knew it. I mean, I know they didn't, especially looking back. You are supposed to work, when you're using propane for fuel, you work on the vapor. So if you fill it totally up with liquid, you have no room for the vapor. And you can't have liquid draw out that tube. It's a very dangerous, volatile situation. So anyway, I've already told about that story, so I won't bother telling it again. People ought to listen to me. I'm not kidding you. You ought to listen to what I'm trying to tell you. This place in Perryton that had I don't know, they had to have had at least 10 of those rig things that would go. They weren't the rig, but it was a big old truck that worked with the oil that was coming out of the rig, probably. And that's what they were using the propane for. I'm sure it's heating up. I don't know. I never did go out and find out. They brought that stuff to me and I filled it up. But that was quite a trip. That job was quite a trip. So it was a great opportunity to learn. And yes, I could do a lot of things today even. My brain is not shot. I'm not physically capable of standing all day long. I can stand and sit and stand and sit, and I could be a receptionist, and I could be an executive secretary, actually. And I got a job offer the other day. It wasn't a job offer. What it was these Indeed people. I come to find out they're everywhere, okay? And it's a place that helps you get a job. Or, not really helps you get the job, but it's a place to look for a job. To look for a job. Something in my throat. And at first you might would think, oh, they're I just don't know what's true and what isn't out there, what's fake, who's trying to get your information and stuff. But there was a job I was trying to check into when I was in Colorado, and it was working for a dispensary. I wanted to do that. But it was way up at the border and way away from everything, and you'd have to pick up and move and be there all the time, and so it wasn't really advantageous. But I sure did want to do it. So anyway, the point is, I called and I talked to them about it, and they told me I had to go through Indeed. So it's legit. But then I was thinking it was just Colorado, but it's everywhere. And I think right now, what they're doing is sending me job openings that are over by Nancy in Washington. There was an executive assistant one that I could have went and checked into, but it was over by Nancy. 3,000 miles away, but it's where my car is. I gotta go get my car. Anyway, I've been talking a long time. It's amazing how I can do that. Sometimes there's just a lot coming out of my little head. Other times there's not. I don't know. This morning I spent some time listening to some videos about the injections, but not near enough. Now my little head says I don't want to listen no more. But it's not funny. I need to do that because one of the tests that they're doing, I believe they do that one every time, is for kidney and liver function. So what does that say? That the stuff that they're giving me is messing with my kidney and my liver, my kidneys and my liver. So that's the information I need. I mean, why are they doing this testing? And that is true. Sometimes I'm just not drinking enough water or liquid. So I've decided I have to have more things around to drink than just water. And then somehow I need to keep track of it, but I haven't been. Not quite sure about everything, what my options would be. If there was a different route I could go. But I did. One of the things that I heard this morning was that those injections, they have evidently a pill, because they said an oral form, but that is way expensive. They didn't say how expensive. They said it was really expensive. So that's probably why people don't know much about it. Because if you could just take it without having to have them damn shots, and then you could also be free to travel without having to be stuck by where you can get a treatment. And see, they won't let you have the treatments unless you're where your doctor is. So I've had to get a new doctor each time, even though they know the treatments are working. It just seemed like I could have got a prescription and said, okay, she needs to have this, and you guys do it. And then I'm supposed to go and have blood work done, and they know the levels that I need to not have. Like if I have too high levels, they won't give me something. But at least they have stopped the IV will be once every 3 months. So I don't know if that means there's just 2 months in between, or if there's 3 months in between that you get that IV. It's the Zometa is what it is. And that's about building up your bones. Anyway, I don't want much. I want to be cured. I do. I want a miracle. And I don't think that's too much to ask for. Sometimes I think how stupid I was and that I probably don't deserve a miracle because of how stupid I was. But being in this situation that I'm in, of course I believe that it's okay to ask for a miracle. You know what I mean? I don't think God's going to punish me for being stupid. And then what I was reading earlier was that today it was telling you that it's your faith. What is it telling you about your faith? Something about being judged by the law or judged by your faith, meaning the law of the land, your faith with God. But see, that's how things work. Faith precedes the miracle. Believe. That's what I've got to remember to do. People are sure, people can really mess with your head. And you can lose everything because of it. So I have to be careful. I don't know. Today was a good day, so I'm just going to say I'm happy. Happy. And if I figure that maybe some more miracles can come along in the medicine field too, giving it a little bit of time. And I don't know if you can believe all that you hear, We know that you can't believe all that you hear. But what is it? They had commercials about you growing your teeth back. I mean, that sounds so far-fetched, but could it be? And then free electricity. But it's just here in the air. We just need to know how to get it, I guess. Like you see static electricity. I don't know much about it. All I know is I'm hoping for my miracle. In the meantime, I hope to find things to share with you guys that are interesting and that are not impossible to understand. Some things could be that way. Okay, so what would I want to look up? Okay, Doctrine and Covenants. Let's see what's there. It would be so lovely. It would be just lovely. I need my throat to clear up. I'm not sure what verse it was I stopped on. See, I was just talking about what it was that I just read. Okay, so here's Galatians 4, and it starts with verse 21, which is probably where I left off. Tell me, ye that desire to be under the law, do ye not hear the law? For it is written that Abraham has had 2 sons, and the one by a bondmaid, the other by a free woman. I remember reading that. But he who was of the bondwoman was born after the flesh, but he of the free woman was by promise, which things are an allegory. For these are the 2 covenants, the one from Mount Sinai, which gendereth to bondage, which is Agar. Boy, I got heartburn. For this Agar is Mount Sinai and in Arabia, and answereth to Jerusalem, which now is in bondage with her children. But Jerusalem, which is above, is free, which is the mother of us all. For it is written, rejoice, thou barren that bearest not. Break forth and cry, thou that travailest not, for the desolate have many more children than she which hath an husband. Now we, brethren, as Isaac was, are the children of promise. But as then, make sure I'm on the screen here. But as then he that was born after the flesh persecuted him that was born after the Spirit, even so it is now. Nevertheless, what saith the Scripture? cast out the bondswoman, the bondwoman, and her son. For the son of the bondwoman shall not be heir with the son of the free woman. So then, brethren, we are not children of the bondwoman, but of the free. That almost sounds like your parable's going on, but it's not. It has to do with their laws and stuff. I'm not doing good with my throat. Okay, so I finished Galatians 4. I'm not sure where I ended yesterday. Okay, this is going to explain that a little bit. If my voice will stay with me, I'll go ahead and read chapter 5. And I think it's going to explain a little bit, but maybe it might get us more confused. Here's a synopsis for 5. It says, stand fast in gospel liberty. Seek faith, love, Christ, and the Spirit. The works, the works of the flesh and the fruits of the Spirit are named. All right, so that's what's supposed to be in this chapter. Let's see how many verses. Oh, it's 26. I skimmed a little bit, scanned a little bit. So some of the things that were spoken of earlier were brought out. But the whole deal is you want to get yourself baptized into the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, people. For reals. So what it's really saying is you be baptized in Christ and you become heirs. You become joint heirs. I think that it said that about Christ too. Although I keep losing my voice, part of it is I talk too much. I need something good. I want something good. Be careful about them something goods. So, we try this. It'll be like a puzzle. That's what it's like. It's like a puzzle. I know you can hear the dog. Somebody's here. He's freaking out. He wants to. It's probably Diego. All right. Stand fast in gospel liberty. I already read that part. So we're going to go to verse 1. And that says, stand fast, therefore, in the liberty wherewith Christ hath made us free. Christ has made us free. Okay? I think you understand what I'm trying to say. If you're baptized in Christ, you are now joint heirs and you are made free of bondage. Because I think in heaven you're bound until those things are done. I don't know how to explain that, so maybe I won't. Okay, so where did I have made us free, and be not entangled again with the yoke of bondage. So, by being baptized and in faith with Christ, you've been made free. But if you mess up, you start sinning and all that stuff, then, you're back into bondage. That's how I'm taking that. Be not entangled again with the yoke of bondage. Behold, I, Paul, say unto you, that if ye be circumcised, Christ shall profit you nothing. For I testify again to every man that is circumcised, that he is a debtor to do the whole law. Christ is become of no effect. Christ is become of no effect unto you. Whosoever of you are justified by the law, ye are fallen from grace. For we through the Spirit wait for the hope of righteousness by faith. For in Jesus Christ neither circumcision availeth anything, nor uncircumcision, but faith which worketh by love. Ye did run well. Who did hinder you that ye should not obey the truth? This persuasion cometh not of him that calleth you. A little leaven leaveneth the whole lump. I have confidence in you through the Lord that ye will be none otherwise minded, but he that troubleth you shall bear his judgment, whosoever he be. And I, brethren, if I yet preach circumcision, who do I yet suffer persecution? Then is the offense of the cross ceased. Okay, it was a little message. I should let her know, but I'm using both devices. Okay, that was sweet. Where am I at? I'm on Galatians. Just hang tight, guys. I gotta send just a little quick text. Oh, that's no. Okay, so I sent her a text, and I'm going back to where was I? I was in the scriptures. Okay, there. Seems like I already did that, but I'm going to do it again. Okay, I'm going to go with, yeah, because I remember that too. Okay, a little leaven leaveneth the whole lump. They're talking about like yeast. I think that's what it is. You get your lump of clay, which is your flour and stuff, and you add some yeast in with it and it raises. Unleavened bread, I think, is flat bread. Okay, so let's see. So this is verse 10. I have confidence in you through the Lord that ye will be none otherwise minded, but he that troubleth you shall bear his judgment, whosoever he be. And I, brethren, if I yet preach circumcision, why do I yet suffer persecution? Then is the offense of the cross ceased. And that wasn't a question mark, ceased. Okay, I've said it not very good. Offense of the cross ceased. I would they were even cut off, which trouble you. For brethren, ye have been called unto liberty. Only use not liberty for an occasion to the flesh, but by love serve one another. For all the law is fulfilled in one word, even in this, thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. This I say then, walk in the Spirit, and ye shall not fulfill the lust of the flesh. For the flesh lusteth against the Spirit, and the Spirit against the flesh, and they are contrary the one to the other, so that ye cannot do the things that ye would. But if ye be led of the Spirit, ye are not under the law. Now the works of the flesh are manifest, which are these: adultery, fornication, uncleanness, lasciviousness, idolatry, witchcraft, hatred, variance, emulations, wrath, strife, seditions, heresies, envyings, murders, drunkenness, reveling, and such like, of the which I tell you before, as I have also told you in time past, that they which do such things shall not inherit the kingdom of God. But the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, long-suffering, gentleness, goodness, faith, meekness, temperance. Against such there is no law. And they that are Christ, meaning in the possessive, that he owns them, and they that are Christ have crucified the flesh, which the affections and lust. Okay, I didn't say that right. I didn't think that sounded right. Okay, and they that are Christ have crucified the flesh with the affections and lust. If we live in the Spirit, let us also walk in the Spirit. Let us not be desirous of vainglory, provoking one another, envying one another. That is the end of Galatians 5. Okay, so it's telling you to put away the old man, the carnal man, the one that you were before you were baptized. You know, you're a new creature now. I'm not going to read any more, but I made it through Galatians 5 and the last little part of 4. So I'm pretty sure I probably finished off what I left off at. Because that's one thing neat about these scriptures that are on my iPad is it goes back to where you were. And it's probably actually keeping track of several different places that I've been, so that I could, if I knew how to use it, I could look over there and say, oh yeah, I was there, and I was there. Because I do tend to get around. And I had not read Galatians before. Let me see. So we just read Galatians 5, and there's only 6. Let me look and see. Bear one another's burdens. As you sow, so shall ye reap. Be not weary in well-doing. Well, there's only 18 verses. I should go ahead and just finish 6. That's what I will do. I will finish 6. They're going to go get in the hot tub, and it's outside, and I'm in this house freezing. That's what she was telling me, sending me a message that they're going to go get in the hot tub. Anyway, so did you guys get something out of that? I think it might have clarified a little bit. The point is, circumcised or not, it didn't matter to God. that was just their law of the land type of deal. And I don't even think it was the law of the land. It was probably the law of the Jews. I don't know who all did that. I do appreciate it, though. I think it's a very good thing for cleanliness and stuff like that. It's just easier. Maybe not on the baby that is having it done, but then they're not going to remember any of that. So I'm going to go ahead and read. I already read that part. So I'm going to just go ahead and read Galatians 6. Okay. I read you the synopsis. And this is verse 1. Brethren, if a man be overtaken in a fault, ye which are spiritual, restore such an one in the spirit of meekness, considering thyself, lest thou also be tempted. Bear ye one another's burdens, and so fulfill the law of Christ. For if a man think himself to be something when he is nothing, he deceiveth himself. But let every man prove his work. Okay, I gotta stop. But let every man prove his own work, and then shall he have rejoicing in himself alone, and not in another. For every man shall bear his own burden. Let him that is taught in the word communicate unto him that teacheth in all good things. Be not deceived, God is not mocked. For whatsoever a man soweth, that shall he also reap. For he that soweth to his flesh shall of the flesh reap corruption. But he that soweth to the Spirit shall of the Spirit reap life everlasting. And let us not be weary in well-doing, for in due season we shall reap, if we faint not. As we have therefore opportunity, let us do good unto all men, especially unto them who are of the household of faith. Ye see how large a letter I have written unto you with mine own hand. As many as desire to make a fair show in the flesh, they constrain you to be circumcised, only lest they should suffer persecution for the cross of Christ. For neither they themselves who are circumcised keep the law, but desire to have you circumcised, that they may glory in your flesh. But God forbid that I should glory, save in the cross of our Lord Jesus Christ, by whom the world is crucified unto me, and I unto the world. For in Christ Jesus neither circumcision availeth anything, nor uncircumcision, but a new creature. And as many as walk according to this rule, peace be on them, and mercy, and upon the house. I'm saying that wrong. Okay, I'm going to go back. This is verse 16. And as many as walk according to this rule, peace be on them, and mercy, and upon the Israel of God. From henceforth let no man trouble me, for I bear in my body the marks of the Lord Jesus. Brethren, the grace of our Lord Jesus Christ be with your spirit. Amen. And this is the end. It says, unto the Galatians, written from Rome. So it was written in Rome, but it also said, I, Paul. So Paul wrote that. And I looked up Paul, and it mentioned Paul, who was Saul, but it didn't say why the name was changed. Or if it did, I don't remember what it said. But, okay, so we're at an hour and 19 minutes. Wow, I didn't realize I'd talk that long. I know I didn't read that long. I'm cold. I'm sitting in here and it's usually warm. I mean, when you shut the door, it's usually hot in the room. But it has been cold the last couple of days. I think the temperature has gone down. But even when the temperature was down, it was really quite warm. When I had my door shut, I'd have to open up the door. I kind of like to be covered up at night, some covers on me, but I can't handle the heat. So I'm throwing them on and off, on and off. I can just remember having to open the door a little bit to let some cool air in from the hall, so I could handle having the covers on me. So I guess I should stop. I shouldn't have them be too awful long, right? It's been a good day, and I'm not going to say that I'm done. I might come back and do some more, but at least I shouldn't go too crazy on my things. I did take ivermectin yesterday, and I did not write that down. I've got that little diary thing. I need to write that down and keep track of when I take it, how often I take it. So this is April. My next appointment will be in May. May 8th. See, I'm thinking that she really wasn't planning on seeing me until the end of May. But this is the beginning. They've got her down to see me. And actually, I need to think about that. They've got my IV. I need to go back and find out when I had my IV. Because I had it. I think I had it last time. And this time, no. Next time, no. I'm not sure where I took that paper into the other room. I've got a paper with my visits scheduled out on it. Anyway, I'll just have to look over that. Check it out. Yeah. People are strange when you're a stranger. Faces look ugly when you're down. It's probably not right after those words. Did you guys watch The Lost Boys? My daughter was young. I wonder how old she was when Mom and Dad lived in the house on 49th Street in Vancouver. And I don't know if that's the show they watched over and over again. That was a different show they watched over and over and over again. What was the name of it? I don't think I can get it in my head. But the point is, Lost Boys was out at the same time. They were watching that show a lot. And that song was in it. And it was a different kind of a vampire type show. A tourist town. Trying to remember it. When you're strange, faces come out of the rain. When you're strange, when you're strange, da da da, da 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 da, da 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 da. Anyway, that was a long time ago. Trying to figure out how old my daughter was. I don't think I can figure it out. I can't remember when Mom and Dad moved away from there, 49th Street. Da-da-dum. 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 Okay. So, I guess I better go. It's almost an hour and a half. I've been watching some videos. Boy, I just need to get after it. Linda, if you made it this long, I saw an advertisement for the stuff you sent me. I think I've only used it once. I need to get after it. Boy, if what they're showing is true. How long you been using this stuff and how good has it done you? Because what it did say was dry your hair. I think it said dry your hair after washing it and then put it in there. But I do. I need to use that. And I really appreciate you sending me that. That was sweet. So, take care, all you people. And I'm going to do the same. And I'm going to take my ivermectin a lot more often. And I'm going to hope and pray that it does the trick. You know, I want a lot. But I know there's things out there, we just don't know what they are. And for that doctor, the very first one in Kennewick, she said to me, I can melt that cancer away, but then your bones will collapse on themselves. Okay? But isn't that interesting that she could melt that cancer away? I didn't think that was possible. So there's things out there we don't know. Controlled knowledge. No. Right now I'm a happy-go-lucky. We'll hope it stays that way. My mood goes up and down. There's that song from Primary. Let's see. If you chance to meet a frown, do not let it stay. Simply turn it upside down and smile that frown away. No one likes a frowny face. Change it for a smile. All the world's a better place while smiling all the while. Interesting. I didn't know what those words were, but I think I got them right. And I was saying something the other day, and I don't know if I was. Give, said the little stream. Give, oh give, give, oh give. Give, said the little stream as it hurried on its way. I'm small, I know, but wherever I go, the fields grow greener still. Singing, singing all the day, give away, oh give away. Singing, singing all the day, give, oh give away. He's giving his water. He's feeding them their water, and he's making those fields green. Anyway, the point was we need to do the same thing. We want to spread the love. Acts of kindness. Okay, that type of a love. Make someone else's life a little easier. Just give them a smile. Turn that smile upside down, or that frown upside down. I said that one wrong, didn't I? Anyway, you guys, be happy. I'm going to try to shut this off just at the right time. I love you guys, okay? And you guys turn around and spread that love around. Do something great for somebody. Here it goes. 1, 2, 3. First your money, then your clothes.